Hello and welcome back to another update. In this one, there is massive breaking news, and that is the Israelis launched a massive 5-wave, 3-hour-long missile strike on Iran using their fighter jets. Israel, 2 a.m. my time, 3:30 a.m. local time in Iran, the Israelis started launching a massive wave after wave airstrike on Iran, where they flew over Syrian airspace into Iraqi airspace and then started striking all these targets across Iran. The first targets were mostly Tehran, the capital of Iran. Following the third wave, the Israelis started striking Iranian nuclear facilities. The Israelis also launched multiple assassination strikes where they killed, among others, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Hossein Salami. The commander was killed in the Israeli airstrike, among others, mostly nuclear researchers, the head nuclear researcher, and the Israelis targeted 10 different nuclear researchers. It is unclear how many of them were struck. The Israelis also struck the Air Force commander and multiple other generals of the Iranian military. It all started with some pro-Palestinian sources reporting the departure of a large amount of Israeli fighter jets from Israel towards the north. This also happened yesterday. However, Israel decided to circle around Syrian territory for approximately 2 hours before returning to base. That Iraqi sources reported low-flying American drones and a lot of US activity in their air bases. As we see here, heavy US activity over Baghdad, Iraq. So based on this, we saw that the US and Israel were active at the same time, just like yesterday. Now, this did not turn out as yesterday because Israel then declared a state of emergency and announced a preemptive operation against Iran. It started out with 6 explosions reported in Tehran following massive missile strikes over the city. Amongst these strikes, we see this image here, which is an image of the aftermath of one of the strikes within Tehran. There is this video here which shows numerous aftermaths of different strikes. There's a lot of smoke in the air. There's also this image here, which shows the apartment complex building that has been struck. Additional images show additional apartment buildings. Some of them have even completely collapsed. These are all assassination strikes on Iranian military and nuclear officials. This second video shows one of these apartment complex buildings on fire following one of the strikes. The airspace was completely closed during these strikes above Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, and Iran, most of Jordan as well. However, the Israelis did not limit this to assassination strikes. They also struck numerous nuclear facilities. This includes the ones in the town of Natanz here in the center of Iran and numerous other nuclear facilities across Iran. All of these nuclear facilities started being struck on the third wave of attacks. The attacks again started at 2 a.m. maritime and ended at 5 a.m. That means it was a 3-hour-long strike. All of these strikes is just the beginning. According to Israel, they are planning on attacking for multiple days, if not weeks. At the same time, they also expect the Iranians to respond. So far, according to Israel, they are expecting the Iranians to launch hundreds of ballistic missiles and following up with regular missiles and drones. According to Israel, this strike, which as we can see was a massive strike, an unprecedented strike, that was a preemptive strike. This means this is Israel starting. They were not provoked to do this. They did it because they wanted to, and this makes Iran the defender in this case. Iran has already stated that if Israel attacks Iranian nuclear facilities and the US in any way, shape, or form helps, then the Iranians will see the US as complacent and a part of their attack, and therefore Iran has threatened to attack all of US military bases in the Middle East. These are mostly centered around Iraq, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and other areas, including within Israel itself. They also stated that according to documents Iranians stole from Israel some days ago, they announced an operation that has been taking place for many, many years, where they managed to steal thousands of very confidential Israeli military and government documents that include statements on Israeli nuclear facilities, military sites, and a lot more. From this, we can see that Iran has threatened to strike back at Israeli nuclear facilities as well as Israeli military targets, and they have also threatened US military bases in the Middle East. This turns out that it can escalate to a massive regional war if Iran stays true to their threats and attacks US military bases across the Middle East. The US themselves state that they did not take part of the strike. Tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they will believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear. Iran should not target US interests or personnel, Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State. However, the Iranians responded to this with this statement by the Iranian Foreign Ministry. Israel's aggressive actions against Iran could not have been carried out without the coordination and approval of the United States. The United States government, as the main supporter of the Zionist entity, will also bear responsibility for the results of its adventures. The Iranian foreign minister also stated, responding to this aggression is Iran's legal and legitimate right under Article 51 of the UN Charter, the Article of Self-Defense. Iran's armed forces will not hesitate to defend the Islamic nation with all available strength and means. The Zionist regime could not have carried out this attack without US coordination and approval. The US, as the main backer, will also bear full responsibility for the consequences. Again, the strikes started at 3:30 local time and ended at 6:30 local time, a 3-hour-long strike. Israeli channels report that the current security assessment in Israel is that Iran's retaliation will consist of a massive initial wave of ballistic missiles, followed by additional missile attacks. The Israeli Broadcasting Corporation states we have targeted at least 10 Iranian nuclear scientists, and Al Arabiya reports that Israel has carried out 300 airstrikes against Iran. By executive order of the Supreme Leader, Admiral Habibullah Sayari was appointed as temporary Chief of Staff of the Iranian Armed Forces following the assassination of the Chief of Staff of the Iranian Armed Forces, and the Brigadier General Ahmed Wahidi has been appointed as temporary Commander-in-Chief of the IRGC, as the Commander-in-Chief of the IRGC was assassinated as well. In conclusion, what we have seen today is a step that will completely change the situation in the entire region. The Israelis have now struck Iran with an unprecedented massive strike with over 300 airstrikes overnight, a 3-hour-long operation, and Iran is already stating that it will respond. The US somehow believes that by stating they will want to continue negotiations, Iran will just drop this and say, okay, let's negotiate. But they have completely miscalculated if they sincerely believe that, as Iran will now respond to the Israeli strikes. The Israelis expect this within the next 2 hours. Making this video before it happens. If it happens, then I will make a video on that as well. But it is clear based on satellite imagery and a lot of reports over the past few weeks that the Iranians have already been preparing a massive missile stockpile. The US just stated a few days ago that Iran has 2,000 ballistic missiles, including many with 2,000-pound warheads to prepare for a strike against Israel in case the Israelis attack. So all in all, what we see is that the Iranians are ready and will likely launch this strike as soon as they have reorganized following the assassinations of top Iranian military leaders. And that is going to be all for this update. Thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, check out my Patreon and YouTube membership for additional content. Thank you for watching and have a great day.